And I remember as we were sitting in the back of the bus, she ended up putting her hand on my thigh, and that's when I knew it was time. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a really embarrassing, but I gotta say, crazy story. So this story takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 11 year. Now, in grade 11, I had a car, but obviously all cars end up having maintenance. And I remember for my blue car that I had back when I was in high school, well, I had to fix it up and actually change some things on it because, well, I don't know, something happened to it, and I guess it needed like an oil change or tires need to be rearranged. I'm not really sure what it was, but let's just say I wasn't able to drive it for a bit. So I remember as I parked my car in the shop, I realized around that time that I had to basically take the bus to school. Now, taking the bus is something I really hate doing. I don't know how many of you guys enjoy taking the bus, but for me, it just definitely wasn't my thing, and I was never excited to do it. So I remember the next morning when I woke up and I saw that my car keys weren't there. Obviously, I was really upset, but honestly, what can you do? So I remember I ended up getting up, getting ready, and I basically started walking to the bus stop. When I got there, I remember I was just standing around waiting, and I was honestly really bored. But then one thing led to another, and the bus finally showed up. And when I got onto that bus, I remember my eyes opened wide. Because when my eyes opened wide, I saw that there was a girl on the bus that honestly, I kind of recognized from my school, but at the same time, like, I didn't really know her, nor did I ever like actually interact with her ever. So when I saw her there, I'm like, oh, like, damn, she's actually pretty hot when I saw her on the bus. I remember I ended up sitting across from her, and I ended up basically like kind of looking at her, but looking at my phone at the same time. You guys know what I'm talking about when you see like an attractive girl, but you don't want to make too much eye contact because obviously that would make things really awkward. But I remember I kind of like ended up looking up at her, and she looked at me at the same time. And from there, I decided not to do anything. I didn't speak to her, nothing. And when we finally showed up at the front of my school, we both got off the bus and we ended up entering school, and that was it. Well, actually, that wasn't it, because what ends up happening next, I gotta say, really made me realize that this girl was a lot more than she seems. Because when I was at school walking around, and I remember at lunchtime when I met up with the boys in the cafeteria, I ended up sitting down with them, and I told them that I saw a hot girl on the bus. I remember one of them ended up looking at me saying, "Oh yeah, I think I know what girl you're talking about. She lives around your area, I think." Wait, really? She lives around my area? Like, how many stops away? I don't know. I think like 3 or 4 stops away from you. The thing about her is that like apparently she's a hardcore freak, because like my friend used to date her. I don't know. My opinion, just stay away from her. When he told me to stay away from her, honestly, part of me basically was like, okay, I should probably take this advice in and understand that it's probably not a good idea to go for her. And then I started really thinking about it throughout the school day, and honestly, I don't like being told not to do something. I don't know how many of you guys have experienced this, but you guys know that feeling when you're basically told, hey, don't do this, but then you really want to do it since someone told you not to do it. Comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. But honestly, let's just say the next day when I saw her on the bus again, things got really awkward, because I remember the next day when I woke up, I basically had a game plan to basically go and actually interact with this girl. Obviously, I didn't want to be the typical guy that just says, oh, hey, because usually I would pull that off with like any girl in my school, but obviously I wanted to make this one feel unique. So I remember I got on the bus, and as I'm thinking of a game plan, out of nowhere, I ended up looking at my phone, and I saw that she was on her phone, and I thought, why not throw my phone at her? Throwing my phone at her. I don't know how I came up with this. This is honestly something really on the spot, I would say. But I remember I basically went on my notes app on my phone, and I basically wrote down, "What's your number?" ? And made it my wallpaper. And then one thing led to another. I look at her, and I just tossed my phone at her. I remember this girl, she got my phone, and she picked it up off the ground because it hit her in the chest, and then afterwards like ended up falling onto the ground. She picks it up, and she's like, "Oh, I think you dropped this." At that moment, I realized that she didn't look at my lock screen, and then I told her, "Oh, like, you should probably look at my lock screen." She looks at my lock screen and saw that, you know, it was me asking for her number. And well, honestly, she ended up giggling, and she's like, yeah, sure. And she ended up giving me her number. Honestly, I'm gonna say this right now, if you really want to try this move out, it is kind of W-Riz, but just hope that, you know, you will actually end up getting the girl's number, because if you don't, then it's kind of awkward. Going on from there, me and her, when we both got off the bus to go into our school, we started walking together, and we started talking about ourselves a little bit, and basically, you know, we got an actual normal introduction. But obviously, after that, once we entered inside school, well, that's it. We just ended up splitting our ways, and we haven't spoken at all throughout the school day. I got her number, obviously, and I was thinking about texting her, but at the same time, I don't know, I made such a huge gesture in the beginning. Do I really want to be the one to continue it? I don't know. It sounds really dumb, but I was basically nervous to text her until the next day. Now, the next day, I'm not gonna lie, I had more boost in confidence knowing that I was gonna go on the bus again and see this girl. So I remember I ended up basically, you know, getting ready and everything, and I ended up basically texting her saying, "Hey, you taking the bus today?" She ended up instantly texting me back saying, yeah, of course I am, with a winky face. And that's when I knew today's the day I spit some W Riz. So I remember I basically ended up getting ready, wore a nice outfit, wore nice shoes, went to the bus stop, and I basically stood there waiting. And when I finally saw the bus come up to the stop, I remember I saw her waiting and sitting down for me at the window, and she was basically telling me to come sit beside her through the window when I was outside of the bus. So I remember I got onto the bus. I ended up going straight to the back of the bus where she was sitting, and basically we sat down beside each other and we started talking and stuff. One thing led to another. Me and her, we started cuddling in the back of the bus, and we got really close to the point where we actually made out a couple times. And obviously for the bus driver that was sitting there, well, he didn't really say anything. He was just kind of watching us thinking, okay, like it is what it is. And basically, like, once we got to school, we ended up walking into school together, holding hands, until once we actually got into the school, we split our ways, and well, it seemed like nothing happened once again. I remember at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually going to text this girl some more. Maybe actually get to know her more. But every time I would text her, she would not give me any reply whatsoever. At this point, I was confused because I was thinking, you know, did I do something wrong? Is this something that she did not want? She was holding hands with me. She made out with me. Is there something I am doing wrong? Until the next day, I started to realize what actually was wrong. Because the next day when I actually woke up for school, I ended up doing the same thing where I texted her saying, hey, you taking the bus today? But once again, no reply. And when I actually went up to the bus and actually stood there waiting, I saw that when the bus came, she was not there. I guess today she ended up getting a ride or something. I have really no idea. But honestly, it was kind of sad to know that she wasn't taking the bus today because, well, I don't know, I started getting really excited to take the bus just to see this girl. But then obviously when I got to school, I remember I ended up going into my cafeteria and I started walking around, and basically I ended up sitting with the boys because we were all there early in the morning just sitting down doing nothing. And then I remember one of the guys ended up looking at me saying, yo, Bubba, you remember that bus girl you were talking about the other day? Yeah, wait, what about her? Oh, did you know she's now dating that guy from our rugby team? I forgot his name. Wait, she's dating someone now? Yeah, bro, she's been like dating him for like the last like 3 days. I remember at that moment, I was frozen. I was thinking, wait, what in the world is he talking about? Like, it was just yesterday I was making out with this girl on the bus. I remember at that point, I basically ended up blocking her on my phone and blocking her number and just, you know, basically not trying to get into the crazy situation that I was put in. But let's just say the next day was when things got insane. Because the next day I woke up and obviously I was like, you know, annoyed because I had to take the bus. Obviously, I got super lazy and I ended up getting onto the bus and I was really upset. And honestly, it was just not a good day for me. And when I went on the bus and I sat down, I saw the girl was there. The girl that, you know, was dating the new rugby guy or something. I really have no idea. And when I saw her, I remember I looked at her and she looked at me and smiled. At that point, I didn't really know what was going on, but I basically just sat down across from her and I didn't interact with her. At this moment, she was confused, obviously, and she came up beside me and sat down and said, hey, like, what's wrong, Bubba? Nothing. Why? What's going on? I tried to pretend I didn't know about her boyfriend because obviously, like, I didn't want to get involved in the situation that she was going to put me in. But then one thing led to another. I remember she ended up putting her hand on my thigh and started making out with me. And one thing led to another. I'm not going to lie to you guys. We actually ended up doing the Devil's Tango on the bus, bro. I ended up doing it with a girl that was taken on the bus. Now, usually I'm not a home wrecker, okay? And I knew the information I was given by my buddy earlier, but I'm not gonna lie to you. She was really into me, like really into me. And I guess I was really into her. Sorry, bad joke, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It was insane. I remember when me and her, we did the Devil's Tango. Even the bus driver was just refusing to look at the back of the bus because he didn't want to do anything because I guess he wasn't paid enough to actually take care of the situation. And right afterwards, when everything was over, I remember we finally got to her stop at the school and she said, oh, do you really want to get off or we can keep going? No, this is my stop is what I told her. And I ended up getting off the bus and I ended up going straight to school and pretended nothing happened. Yeah, honestly, this girl was really insane on the bus. And honestly, I have one question for you guys. Would you guys do it on the back of the bus? Like, let's be for real here. And if you would, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.